Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Retha de Villiers Scheepers. I'm based at University of the Sunshine Coast, the Business School, and I'm a senior lecturer in Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And today I bring to you Community Resilience in Tough Times, a video series in collaboration with Moreton Bay Business and Innovate Moreton Bay. My colleague and I, Noel Tracy, have been working with Steve Butler, the Regional Innovation Coordinator in Moreton Bay, for more than a year now, trying to understand what is it that makes entrepreneurial business tick in Moreton Bay region. And we think we have some insights to share with you, which might be useful during this difficult times that business has been going through with the COVID-19 pandemic. So in sharing our insights with you, we hope that you will be able to gather some inspiration from here, but help you see that things that you've been doing has been useful, and you can draw on this as you go through these difficult times. In Moreton Bay, the Moreton Bay Tough initiative, where a lot of Moreton Bay businesses are invited to share their stories of how they've been engaging, has been running for a while now. So if you haven't seen that, please go and search for the Moreton Bay Tough campaign and have a look at what their aims are. And in this Moreton Bay Tough campaign, Moreton Bay is really acknowledging that a lot of things have just been turned upside down amidst the pandemic. And if we stand back, maybe this gives us a chance to reflect with community pride and spirit what has been really instrumental in our community and drives us forward. So Moreton Bay Tough is searching for heartwarming stories of different initiatives that businesses have undertaken to help each other out, to say how they've been changing their business models and everything to really adapt to what's going on. What a lot of these stories showcase is the resilience, perseverance, and innovation that businesses have got up to, and they do this by through storytelling and testimonials. So it's really about sharing your story, but also having the ability to inspire others that you might not even know of, other local businesses that you can connect with in ways that you might not have thought possible than before. So it's really that opportunity for community collaboration and helping each other out in this really tough time. As I mentioned, we've been doing research in the Moreton Bay community for more than a year now. And I think it's important at this time to highlight that the Moreton Bay community is quite entrepreneurial. We illustrate this in our Founder Fest impact report that's just been released. And in our report, we actually talk about how entrepreneurial communities have much stronger bonds than merely economic bonds. We often think about community sector as social enterprises or non-profit, and we tend to forget that business people too have an interest in a region thriving, and that if we focus on the entrepreneurial spirit among different businesses, we're able to bring about a much stronger future that's not just based on economic indicators, but that can rebound and be resilient and collaborative in tough times. So we think our research has some lessons to perhaps help you move through these tough times. As I mentioned, it's the impact report. It's called the Founder Fest Impact Report, which was work done by myself and my colleague Noel Tracy in collaboration with Steve Butler. So what I'd like to focus on in this particular report are 4 principles of entrepreneurial communities, which I hope you'll see really helps us to understand how to be entrepreneurial and resilient in conditions of high uncertainty. So if I talk about an entrepreneurial community, what is it that I'm really referring to? So we view Moreton Bay region with all its smaller regions really as a hub of entrepreneurial opportunity. And if we say entrepreneurship, what we mean is entrepreneurship is a way of solving problems that helps ordinary people like yourself seize opportunities in an issue which they feel particularly passionate about, and they think they've got a solution and they can provide significant value to that. So we've got a couple of entrepreneurial values that we see underpinning entrepreneurial communities. And these values we really saw well illustrated in the Founder Fest that was held last year. But these 4 principles are also critical as we think about the tough times that we're going through. So I'll just draw them through this recording. So these 4 principles are grassroots participation. In other words, the community does not succeed unless the people from grassroots are participating, stepping up, and being proactive. We see community building events as critical to that, times for us to come together. And while we might be coming together online now, pretty soon we'll be coming together in person again. And a real focus on experiential learning and an acknowledgement that we are always ready to learn new things, new ways, and especially with technology and other aspects developing so quickly, it's quite important for us to put this learning mindset on. And then the whole community is driven by a strong sense of vision and values. So firstly, just to talk about the grassroots participation. So like I said, it's really about community stepping up from the ground up and organizing initiatives for each other. And we've seen an amazing work happening in this space already. Like I mentioned, our Founder Fest was an example of that. And there's also been online COVID-19 startup weekends held, of which a couple of people participated in the Southeast Queensland one not too long ago. And so it kind of happens in events like that. But we've also seen local businesses in the Moreton Bay Tough campaign share stories. And one of these businesses are the Kaminsky Group, who generally focus on development and hospitality industry. And the Kaminsky, as a family-owned Queensland company, have this strong history in hotels and shopping centres. And while they traditionally invested in property development during the crisis, they've reached out to the Chameleon Youth Housing Group to reach out and provide food hampers for vulnerable staff who have not been given a leg up with the government's programs. So it's really encouraging. We see this grassroots stepping up of a larger group helping businesses and also employees in need. So these are the kind of initiatives that we want to encourage. And if you have already been part of this, Moreton Bay Tough would love to hear from you and share your story of how you're participating in the community and helping out others in your community. We also see a very strong focus on community building, so different initiatives to build these bonds in terms of helping each other out. Moreton Bay Tough campaign is a great initiative that's sort of formally coming from MBRED, but we've also seen this community building activity happening in our local food supply chains. For example, you might know Alistair and Ashley McLeod from Harvest at Home. They've totally changed their business model. They now provide memorable meals at home. And if you are exhausted or if you need some inspiration for that weekend meal, they provide gourmet meals, light meals, sides, drinks, and everything can be ordered online. They have a very strong focus on using local suppliers in the process of creating these amazing meals. So they focus on using Millen Farm, Blue Dog Farm, Loverberry, Loop Growers, and a lot of other local growers. So these bonds are not just bonds between individuals in the community, but they also stretch throughout the local supply chain. And food and agribusiness is a great example of that. The third principle is about experiential learning, and this is about learning by doing. So in the Founder Fest, we saw a lot about that. People were starting businesses over the weekend, supported by mentors. And particularly, we've seen an amazing reaction from the arts industry. People were saying, well, you know, arts could possibly survive. How do you do drama if you're not all in the same physical space? Well, it appears that these myths have been busted, because we can see the local arts community sector are transforming themselves. Jam Performing Arts are holding online rehearsals where students can participate together on Zoom and still continue rehearsing. And we've seen Raw Performing Arts Academy even running a competition from talent time at home. So we've seen these great initiatives where it's not like Jam Performing Arts or Raw Performing Arts Academy knew how to do this before. They've just started to learn on the spot, learning by doing, and in fact opened up a whole new way of participating in the arts sector. So this is a very strong principle of an entrepreneurial community. Finally, we also see an entrepreneurial community is driven by strong vision and values. An entrepreneurial community often has give first, so helping others out in the community. It's about inclusiveness, diversity, and collaboration. And Moreton Bay vision is to be a thriving opportunity for innovation and entrepreneurs. And so we've seen lots of initiatives in the education sector where experienced business people are willing to step in and act as mentors for several school-wide initiatives. Moreton Bay has the other added benefit that Leanne Kemp, the state's chief entrepreneur, is a Moreton Bay resident and longtime advocate of the region. So this is really those vision and values in action. So what can you take away from this session? Well, firstly, that these principles, the 4 principles, grassroots participation, community building events, a focus on experiential learning, and having strong vision and values are typically a part of an entrepreneurial community. So my question to you is, which of these values are you embracing? If you've got a story to share, please get in touch with the Moreton Bay Tough team. Share your story, tell us how you're making a difference in your community and inspire others in your community.